S-rank is the summit every hunter dreams of reaching. Because when hunters endure all kinds of suffering, only S-rank hunters are never afraid of any of it. In 2032, the world underwent a monumental change. Certain extraordinary humans began to appear, superhumans, demigods, and saviors. No one could truly define their existence. They cleared dungeons as if playing a game. These people specialized in slaying monsters we called hunters. Through portals linked to these dungeons, they kept challenging and conquering them. The resources they brought back enriched the human world. But those very portals also brought disaster. Countless monsters invaded the human realm on a massive scale. The powerless humans could do nothing but die helplessly. This was an apocalyptic calamity for Earth. That's what everyone thought. Until the hunters appeared. Yet their goal wasn't to save humanity, but to hunt monsters. No matter the outcome, hunters became the main characters of this new world. But none of this had anything to do with the man before us, for he was terminally ill and could die at any moment. On his way home, his sister called and asked Heesun what the hospital had said. Not wanting to worry her, the man replied that the hospital hadn't said much at all. But even the doctors had admitted there was nothing they could do for his condition. The fact that he was still alive was already something of a miracle. As he struggled to figure out how to explain things to his sister, an urgent alarm blared. At that moment, people everywhere received a message. A riot has broken out at the Gibendong portal. All citizens, please evacuate immediately. Why would something that hasn't appeared in years show up all of a sudden? Wait, isn't Gibendong right here? A huge creature had already opened its blood-red maw. The next second, a tongue lashed out, killing a person on the spot. The sight sent people fleeing in all directions in terror. At the same time, his sister noticed an emergency news broadcast on TV. A monster attack has occurred in the Gibendong area. She was now deeply worried for Heesun's safety. Meanwhile, just as the man tried to run, the monster grabbed him, and there was no one around who could help. Looking at the messages on his phone, "I'm sorry, sis. I wanted to do something for you before I died, but in a situation like this, even saying goodbye seems unlikely. But I can't just sit here and wait for death. I heard that those who die fighting monsters can earn medals and bonuses. Maybe those could help you somehow." The man gripped a shard of broken glass tightly. "Come on then, you damn monster." The monster's tongue instantly wrapped him up. "You probably don't know what pain feels like, so let me show you." He broke free from the tongue with a burst of strength and leapt, charging straight for the monster's eye. He stabbed the creature's eye, blinding it. Did my attack work? But the tongue coiled tightly around him again. Looks like it didn't do a thing after all. And with that, the monster swallowed him whole. Inside, the man's life flashed before his eyes. It seemed his life had been meaningless from the very start, no matter how hard he tried. Yet in that moment, his sister's gentle face appeared in his mind. She had always cared for him in every possible way. She was the one who gave him the courage and meaning to keep living. His heart pounded furiously. "I can't die yet." The monster sensed that something was wrong. Suddenly, countless beams of white light erupted from within its body. In the next instant, the monster exploded from the inside out. Moments later, only the man remained, lying where the monster once stood. On the other side, the Glory Guild was issuing an apology for the incident. "We have done everything in our power to control the situation. Please, everyone, remain in a safe place. Our guild will always protect you." Meanwhile, what is going on? I was clearly swallowed, so how am I still alive? At that moment, the man felt as if his head was splitting open. But his senses were sharper than ever before. Suddenly, a scream caught his attention. There's no mistake. That's definitely my sister's voice. But why would she come to such a dangerous place? I have to find her and fast. Elsewhere, his sister was anxiously searching for him. She heard a noise by the stairs. "Heesun, are you there?" But the next instant, she froze in place. Countless monsters were crouched on the ground before her. Realizing something was wrong, she tried to run at once, but accidentally stepped on a shard of glass. In that instant, a swarm of toads surged forth, immediately giving chase. Though her stamina was exceptional and she ran for a long while, she soon felt a crushing sense of despair. The path ahead had been destroyed. Even then, her thoughts remained with her brother, unaware that danger was creeping ever closer. Just as the toads lunged at her, "Damn monsters, stay away from my sister." The toads were sent flying by the man's attack. When are those hunters finally going to show up? That voice. It's Heesun, no doubt. "Sis, get out of here. I'll take care of them." Ordinarily, it would be impossible for an ordinary person to fight monsters. But the man was certain he would win. First, the small toads were extremely fragile. Though their main weapon was poison, their physical strength was below average. Second, the man had grown stronger. He hadn't realized it yet, but he truly had changed. And finally, there was the poison. During his battle with the giant toad, he discovered the poison was deadly. Ordinary people would die instantly on contact, but it had no effect on him at all. So my guess was right. Poison doesn't work on me. Now you have nothing left to threaten me with. But just as he felt a surge of triumph, a giant toad suddenly attacked from behind. In a split second, the man was sent flying dozens of meters. Did I just black out? What's going on? Was it that giant toad that hit me? But who's standing in front of it? He looked closely. It was his sister. Sis, get away. Though she was shaking with fear, she still stepped forward to protect her brother. Don't come any closer. Just run now. As the monster's massive hand came crashing down. He-san, I'm sorry. She died right before the man's eyes. She should not have died like this. Unable to accept reality, the man was consumed by endless rage. At that moment, an overwhelming energy surged forth. Red power from all around gathered toward him, then took the form of a venomous serpent. So this thing came from within me. You damned monster. I'll kill you. And with that, he struck down the toad on the spot. Meanwhile, I didn't expect him to use the serpent venom so soon. If it's this child, perhaps he really can do it. But that commotion is bound to attract even more monsters. Looks like I'd better give them a hand. On the other side, the man watched as monsters kept appearing, wave after wave. It never ends. My sister can't die because of me. Looking at his sister, who was barely clinging to life, he promised her he would come back. Now, if he wanted to get out of here, he'd have to fight the monsters head-on. So I'll hold out as long as I can until the hunters arrive. But the very next second, he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Is this the consequence of using the venomous serpent earlier? Why does it have to happen now of all times? Damn it, I have to get up. Move, come on, move. Just then, a voice rang out. That's not how you use power, kid. You wasted all your strength dealing with these small fry, so of course you're worn out. Hello there, my name's Kirill. I have a lot to say, but let's handle the situation first. I'll be back soon. With that, she picked up the man and tossed him 10 meters away. It's dangerous here. Stay with your sister for now. Who is she, just throwing people around without a word of explanation? How can someone be so unreasonable? He watched as the woman strode up to the monsters, then casually threw a punch, instantly shattering the creature to pieces. She did that with just one punch. Is she an S-rank hunter? If I had even half her strength, my sister wouldn't have been hurt. Is something troubling you? No, not really. Your sister can still be saved. She's lucky. Any later and it would have been too late. If I didn't know how to heal, she'd be gone for sure. Seeing his sister's wounds heal before his eyes, the man was sure she was telling the truth. I'm truly grateful you saved my sister. Don't be too quick to celebrate. You can survive too. Stop walking around looking so defeated. You've got a long road ahead of you. But he didn't understand what she meant. I'm saying you can keep on living. But let me finish off the rest of the monsters first, then I'll explain. Wait right here. Just as you said. If I can keep living, can I become as strong as you someday? The woman just smiled faintly. Let me show you something good first. This is the only skill I've ever named. A mass of black energy began to gather in her hand. I call it Venom Rain. The energy shot straight up into the sky. Watch carefully. This is the level you'll have to reach one day. Countless raindrops began to fall. Every monster touched by the rain exploded instantly. You asked just now if you could become as strong as me. I can promise you, you are destined to be the strongest hunter in this world. The scene shifts. But Kirill, are you sure I won't die from this? The woman burst out laughing, clutching her sides. Sorry, I forgot to explain. I just wanted to plant this substance inside you. It's called black ether. What is that? Haven't you ever heard of it? Then do you know about the venom eaters? In the past, they were incredibly powerful beings. But after a certain incident, they vanished without a trace. Now they're despised by humanity. But why bring that up? Don't tell me you're... That's right, I'm one of the venom eaters. But that was a long time ago. Aren't you afraid? Of course not. You saved us after all. And besides, I don't think you're just an ordinary hunter. Did I offend you by accident? Not at all. Actually, you're right. Venom eaters are truly unique. What sets them apart appears during their awakening. For regular hunters, the mortality rate during awakening is only 1%. That means it's very rare for an ordinary hunter to die when awakening. But for venom eaters, it's just the opposite. Most of them die during that stage, and they all die for the same reason. During awakening, the toxins in their bodies grow alongside them. If they can't control the venom within, the toxins turn against them, causing them to explode on the spot. Wait, that sounds exactly like what happened to me. Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. The pain you went through was actually your awakening. Congratulations. You're now a venom eater. Then the woman grabbed his arm. There's a lot more to explain, but let's talk outside. A while later, they reached the rooftop. Remember how I said venom eaters always have toxins inside them? Do you know how we coexist with the poison? Actually, it's simple. We're always healing ourselves. She pulled out a syringe and injected it directly into his body. Venom eaters have a remarkable healing ability. We're constantly purifying the toxins, but this doesn't eliminate them completely, just purifies them. And the source of that purification is black ether. The man looked shocked. Are you sure this is safe? Absolutely. Call it my first gift to you. Next, I'll teach you the venom eater's basic skill. Venom step. He hesitated. But didn't you just say venom rain was the only skill you'd named? The woman froze for a moment, then turned and dashed off. Some time passed, and the man felt he just couldn't master any of this. Am I really about to give up before I've even tried? I've actually been strong all along. I just never realized it. You don't really know me. I've been bullied by so many people. I know it sounds like an excuse, but it's true. At that, the woman admitted her previous teaching method didn't suit him. She thought this new approach might work better. From now on, you have to give it your all. Suddenly, she grabbed him. Your senses are everything. Focus all your attention on your feet. Channel your power there. Kirill, you've got to be kidding, right? She let go. You need to take this seriously. If you fail, you really could die. All you have to do is jump from this wall to the building across the way. It sounds simple, but how am I supposed to actually do it? Either way, I'll die if I don't try, so I might as well go for it. He focused his attention on his feet, trying to guide his power there. All sorts of distracting thoughts tried to break his concentration, but he refused to be swayed. How could I give up before I even try? He kicked off the wall and leapt into the air. I can do this. To his surprise, he actually made it. But how was he supposed to land? Meanwhile, the woman nodded in approval. You always thought you couldn't do it, but look at you now. You already have. See, as long as you're prepared to risk everything, you're bound to succeed. The scene shifted. The woman fixed a piercing gaze on the man, but he couldn't fathom what she was thinking. Just then, a string of text appeared in her eyes. An instant later, a device resembling a microchip was implanted into the man's eye. Is this one of those advanced tools only hunters use? That's right, but its capabilities are completely different from the usual gear. Even the Glory Guild hasn't seen this before. Normally, this kind of equipment comes in a standard form, but ours is a miniature lens type. That sounds great and all, but couldn't you have handed it over in a more normal way? By the way, are you leaving now? You catch on fast. Yes, I'm being hunted, so I can't stay in one place for long. Go find Dr. Kim. He's my partner. He'll introduce you to all the equipment, and he'll let you know where I am. That's the last gift I'm leaving you. Now it's time to say goodbye. I still don't really understand why you've helped me so much, but I know for sure. You're not a bad person, so please let me help you too. If there's anything I can do, no matter how difficult, just say the word. You can't help me yet. You need to become stronger. Only by becoming powerful can you make your enemies despair and protect everyone. Can you promise me that? I promise. Such a resolute answer. Seeing you like this, I don't have to worry about you anymore. Well then, until we meet again. With that, Kirill vanished from before his eyes. And the man too found a new purpose. The scene shifted once more. The man had set out on his path of training. But what exactly did Kirill give me? Device scan, this thing is the giant toad's core. But how am I supposed to use it? He gripped the core, recalling the feeling of venom step. In the next instant, the core dissolved into pure energy, which was then completely absorbed into his body. Core state changing. Black ether generation rate 37%. It wasn't long before black ether hit 100%. Immediately, a system prompt appeared. Black ether capacity increased from 1,000 to 1,500. My black ether actually increased. Does this mean the more cores I absorb, the stronger I'll become? But just how strong am I now? Your current rank is E. As black ether continues to rise, your rank will advance all the way to S. So there's actually a chance I could become an S-rank hunter. Looks like that woman wasn't just making empty promises when she said I could become the strongest. Just then, a heated argument nearby caught his attention. A man was loudly berating a mother and her child. No entry or exit without a permit. But my child is sick. What am I supposed to do? That's not my problem. If you spread the illness to others, who's going to take responsibility? You turn a blind eye when people are dying, and now you want to act like a hero. That's a joke. Don't you think so? Do you know who I am? How dare you talk to me like that? I know who you are. You're from the famous Glory Guild, and you still dare talk back. So what if I do? The man raised his club and swung it at him. But the man caught it effortlessly. You do realize from here on out this counts as self-defense. He crushed the club in his hand, leaving the other man frozen in shock. With a single punch, he sent the man sprawling to the ground. Without another word, he turned and walked away. The scene shifted again. He arrived at a phone booth. Can I really find Dr. Kim in a place like this? He pressed the button, and in the next instant, the floor gave way and he dropped underground. This design is seriously terrifying. But is this where I'm supposed to go? He reached out and felt something sticky. It's blood. Why is there blood here? An alarm blared throughout the base. Unauthorized human detected. Activating defense mode. Immediately, jets of poisonous gas filled the air. How did things turn out like this? But it seems like this poison doesn't affect me at all. He breathed a sigh of relief, inhaling without worry. But soon hurried footsteps echoed. Someone was coming. He wondered whether this person would be friend or foe. As the door opened, he instinctively tackled the newcomer to the ground. Damn it, are you trying to kill me? But looking closer, the person had already passed out. Moments later, he found himself tied up by the man. He quickly explained that he was Dr. Kim. Why did you set up a trap like that? Because only Kirill or a hunter could find this place. I used to be a renowned scientist, and I received many honors for it. But that fame brought danger to my door. Not only did assassination squads from various countries target me, even the Hunter Association had its eye on me. At first, I tried asking others for help, but after being betrayed, I stopped trusting anyone. Since then, I've chosen to live in seclusion here. But over the years, plenty of people have still come looking for me. They all died in that room. I may not trust you yet, but there's something strangely familiar about you. Maybe it's because you're a child brought here by Kirill. It was Kirill who saved this man years ago. You too. You're surprisingly alike. If you ask me, the only thing you have in common is that you're both venom eaters. It's more than that, actually. When she first started out, she was covered in spots just like you. But now, there's not a single mark left on her. Dr. Kim gestured for him to follow. Heesun, how do you feel about the poison inside you? The man said he didn't have any strong feelings about it. But the next word stunned him. A single drop of the poison in your body could instantly kill an A-rank hunter. You possess extraordinary power, but I'm only an E-rank hunter right now. Even if I feel stronger, I'm nowhere near being able to take out an A-rank with a single blow. That may be, but it's the truth. But for now, that power is still too much for you. If you can't control it completely, disaster could strike at any moment. Only through training will you truly master this strength. The spots on your body are proof you haven't yet gained control. They'll fade only when you can command the venom within. Kirill's training was all supervised by me, so you have nothing to worry about. Well, what are you waiting for? Get up and move. Dr. Kim then began personally overseeing the man's training. Add another 50 kilos to the weights. Gritting his teeth, the man pushed through every exercise. 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. A lot had changed during those 7 days. First, the doctor took off his mask. I think that means he finally trusts me. Second, my sister woke up. Even though she scolded me for not being there when she opened her eyes, I still came up with all kinds of excuses, hoping she'd believe me. Third, the doctor upgraded my equipment and even gave me new gear. It only took him 3 days to design and develop it from scratch. Lastly, my body changed too. The spots on my skin faded noticeably. Even I could hardly believe it. Right now, the man was undergoing Black Ether intensive training. Doctor, don't you ever get bored? Living here alone, eating nothing but canned food every day. Actually, I'm not alone. It's already crawled onto your shoulder. Haven't you noticed? Curious, the man turned his head and saw a tiny poison dragon. That's my friend Pori. Haven't you heard of harmless poison dragons before? And it has a special ability. It can absorb its host's toxins. It's actually been following you for 2 days already. But I've been training so hard and I never even noticed. That's not surprising. This little guy can turn invisible. That's a very rare skill. Meanwhile, the media had already lost interest in the incident. But the people of Gibandong were still dissatisfied. Next, increase the workload for Teams 1 and 2 by 30% each. The person giving orders was none other than Gu Jinyi, president of the Glory Guild. And have Team 3 investigate the abnormal situation in Gibandong. We need to make sure the experiment runs smoothly. Also, I don't want to hear the words Gibandong again. If you want to stay by my side, find a way to resolve this. And do you know where Maria went? The man stammered, unable to answer. Don't tell me she's locked herself in the treatment chamber again. This was a secret within the Glory Guild. It was a room designed specifically for self-inflicted punishment. Every day, she did this because she felt guilty for failing to protect the children. Maria, we really did do everything we could. Her methods were far too extreme. Anyone else would have died from such wounds long ago. But her healing powers were extraordinary. She could recover almost instantly from any injury. She was also the symbol of the Glory Guild, for she was the world's greatest healer. President, we could have saved more people. Why didn't we? Why did anyone have to die at all? This time the mistake was mine. If I had been part of the operation, even if I only saved one more person, I know I could have kept them alive. The monster that appeared in Gibendong this time was already at disaster level. I don't know who killed it, but it was not something we could have handled so easily. The president put on an innocent expression in front of her. It was all my mistake. My bad judgment led to all this, it's my fault. But in truth, he was sick of this act. Maria, I understand how you feel. If it's too much for you, why not unwind at the hunter exam? We need to recruit more outstanding hunters if we want to save more people. The woman agreed to the president's suggestion. But who was the one who killed that monster? Who created this giant crater? The mystery remains unsolved. At that moment, the man decided that after finishing his training, he would take the hunter exam. But he wasn't content to be just an ordinary hunter. He wanted to challenge himself to become a healer. I won't let innocent people get hurt. I just want to bring hope like Kirill did. Meanwhile, healers are extremely rare in this world. I don't really care about the fate of ordinary people, but when it comes to guild members, that's a different story. The only thing that's certain now is that I have to make a trip to the hunter exam grounds. A little later, the man bid farewell to Dr. Kim. The little poison dragon insisted on coming along as well. Well then, Pari, I'll leave Hisun in your care. The scene shifted. As soon as the man got home, his sister scolded him relentlessly. Ziz, just let me explain first. He told her everything that had happened. But are you sure the person who saved you is trustworthy? Maybe even her name is fake. The most important thing is, she has no reason to help us at all. She's really not a bad person. Remember, everyone who helps you has their own motives. Someday you may have to pay a price for that help. Anyway, is it true? Do you really want to become a hunter now? Yes. I want to save others. I can't stand seeing another tragedy like Gibendong happen again. I don't know if I can really do it, but I want to try. His sister comforted him, telling him not to worry. I'm sure you'll become a great hunter. But deep down, she was more worried about her brother than anyone. I'll do my best. But I heard the registration fee is really expensive. The scene shifted again. The man arrived at a forest. This was where his dream would begin. The poison dungeon. Not only was it shrouded in toxic gas, but even the environment itself had been altered. This dungeon was infamous for a reason. He took a deep breath, then stepped inside. To his surprise, it felt like entering another world. Almost like walking into a video game. Soon, the poisonous mist began to spread. Any other hunter would find it impossible to breathe here. But that has nothing to do with me. Hopefully, I can find that plant I'm looking for. Just then, a monster appeared in front of him. It probably hasn't noticed me yet. Monster. Physical attack level E. All other stats D. Difficulty 2 stars. Here, other stats referred to attack types outside of physical strength, like elemental manipulation or poison. All of those fell under other. So this monster's poison threat is just 2 stars, and all its other stats are lower than mine. But why am I still so nervous? His fingers kept trembling. Memories of his past ordeals flashed through his mind. Damn it. I need to calm down. At that moment, a shout snapped him back to reality. It was the little poison dragon. Thanks to you, I feel a lot better. But where did you run off to? A group of poison lizards was closing in on him. He quickly pulled out the new gear Dr. Kim had given him. The doctor had said he'd definitely need a weapon one day. All you have to do is shout activate to trigger it. Normally it's just a cube, but once you inject black ether it transforms. A short blade materialized in his hand. It can only take the form of a dagger for now, but that's enough. The hunt starts now. He swung the blade lightly, and in an instant he sliced through the whole group of lizards. Damn, their blood splattered on me. If my sister finds out, she'll kill me. The scene shifted again. The man was converting monsters into black ether. This dungeon teeming with monsters has become a paradise for boosting my black ether. By now, I've already absorbed 50 monsters. But this dagger's power is just absurd. Sure, its strength depends on the wielder's black ether, but even so, it's outrageous. That last monster died the moment it was scratched. Didn't even have time to struggle. With this dagger and my venom, I'm practically invincible. Could it be? I've already become the strongest hunter. Eagerly, he opened his status window, expecting at least a B rank in physical attack, maybe even S rank. The result left him deeply disappointed. His physical attack was only E rank. Wait, why is my healing rank S? Looks like I'm destined to be a healer after all. Maybe I should just go home. Too bad I didn't find that plant, but maybe the next dungeon will have it. Just then, a powerful presence swept over him. A B rank hunting hound appeared. Hunting hound. Physical attack C rank, all other abilities B rank. Warning, target's combat power exceeds that of current equipment holder. Damn, this thing is definitely the boss. My Venom's rank is higher than his for sure, but my physical attack is my biggest weakness. I'm 2 whole ranks below him physically. Can I really win like this? He signaled the little poison dragon to stay calm. But the next second, the hound lunged at him with blinding speed. Shit, how is it so fast? Before he could react, his arm was badly injured. I couldn't even see it move. Am I really going to die here? No, I refuse to give up. I've stared death in the face too many times. I won't fall here. The hound sat quietly to the side. Is it waiting for the venom to kick in? What an arrogant beast. But it's that arrogance that gives me a chance. You'll lose here because of it. Come on, you damn hound. Suddenly, the hound charged at him again. I have to wear down its stamina first. Right now, my only hope is to trust in my highest level healing ability. At first, his healing skill was just for purifying the venom in his body. But interestingly, after the toxin was gone, his healing power remained. When all the venom was purified, you'd think the healing would become unnecessary. But does it disappear? The answer is no. It keeps circulating in his body, constantly at work. Dr. Kim knew this as well. That's why he designed a new piece of equipment for the man. The healing circulator. Round 2 begins. No. The man and the hound were locked in a fierce struggle. Each exchange left him badly injured, but he recovered almost instantly every time. Damn it, this hound is even tougher than I expected. The next moment, the hound lunged at him again. Damn, how does it never get tired? Every attack leaves me more wounded than before. The injuries are piling up, getting worse every time. If this keeps up, my chances of winning will only get slimmer. Still, I'm starting to get used to its attack rhythm. The hound remained as calm as ever, but inside, the man knew he was nearing his limit. Suddenly, the hound rammed him, sending him flying dozens of meters. I didn't think it still had that much strength left. Damn, I'm barely holding on. But faced with the hound, who watched him leisurely, the man launched another attack, only for the hound to dodge it with ease. A moment later, he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Damn it, I can't go down now. The hound immediately pressed the assault, fiercer than ever. Looks like all I can do is hope for a miracle. The scene flashed back to a memory. Dr. Kim had learned that the man had managed to summon the Red Viper. That wasn't a power an ordinary person could handle. Surviving it bordered on a miracle. At that moment, a notification from the device appeared. Due to repeated battles against powerful foes, the user's Black Ether is evolving. Black Ether has reached maximum capacity, assessing the user's physical rank. Even then, the man kept taking every blow head-on. Requirements met. User's physical rank upgraded from E to D. It really is a miracle. He immediately triggered Venom Step. Why am I suddenly so much faster? Both his reflexes and speed had improved dramatically. But the hound was still a C-rank threat. Defeating it wouldn't be easy. But this will be my final strike. Is it really necessary to shroud my whole body in black ether? I just want to go all out. If I only get one shot, I'm willing to risk everything. But if I lose control and go too far, I could die here. So I'll attack like this. Even if my speed isn't perfect, I'll take it down. He gathered black ether at his feet, and in an instant unleashed Venom Step, hurtling toward the hound at blinding speed. The hound didn't even have time to react before the man brought it down with a single slash. It's finally over, but my clothes are ruined again. What am I supposed to do about that? Here's hoping the next dungeon is a little easier. The scene shifted. The man was being chased by a gigantic spider running for his life. Damn, what the hell is going on? As he fled, he recalled what had happened earlier. He had just taken down the hunting hound, a victory he should have been proud of. But when he returned to the city, he was mocked by everyone for running around shirtless. His sister also gave him a thorough scolding. What an embarrassing day. If it weren't for all that, he wouldn't have stormed out, and he never would have run into this terrifying creature. At that moment, the spider slapped him hard against a wall. But to his surprise, he discovered something rare. The legendary mysterious flower. I finally found it. The plant I've been searching for all this time. Dungeons came in various difficulties, and the plants within differed in color and grade. Gold, silver, and bronze. What he'd found was the lowest grade, a bronze sunflower. But even a bronze one was worth tens of millions, because its healing power surpassed even that of S-rank healers. A gold sunflower could work miracles. However, gold sunflowers only grew in highly toxic dungeons, usually sleeping in the boss's lair. The problem now was the boss right in front of him. The spider was actually lower level than the hound, but if he killed the boss, the bronze sunflower would wither as well. The only way to harvest the flower was to subdue the boss without killing it. But he was too strong. He couldn't just capture it gently. Isn't there any other way? Just then, his device chimed in. There is a way. The short blade in his hand was suddenly enveloped in white light, automatically switching to non-lethal mode. White Dream. White Dream was the dagger's second form, able to put enemies to sleep or paralyze them. This was a special function Dr. Kim had designed for him, so he wouldn't become overly reliant on brute force in battle. But why are you only telling me this now? The device replied, you never asked. Fine, let's deal with this first. He stepped up to the spider. With one slash, the giant spider instantly fell asleep. This mode is actually pretty handy. Now at last he could pick the flower. I wonder how those two are doing lately. They were always pestering me to find this kind of plant. He remembered them saying this plant was extremely important, one that could only be found through extraordinary effort. The scene shifted again. The man arrived at the underground market. Pori, if anyone suspicious shows up, I'll take care of them. He began searching for a place in the market where he could trade the bronze sunflower, but there were no stalls dealing in such things. Just then, a scream rang out. It turned out Pori had grabbed a red-haired girl. What do you think you're doing? The man hurriedly apologized. Don't worry, I'll heal you right away. But in the next second, the girl bolted. There really are a lot of strange people in this market. The girl activated an invisibility skill and quickly vanished into the crowd. By the time the man realized what had happened, he discovered his flower had been stolen. Looks like we'd better catch up with her fast. Elsewhere, the girl hid in a corner, panting heavily. Did I finally lose him? I thought he was supposed to be so tough. Who dumped something so valuable into a black plastic bag? What a sucker. But the next instant, the man appeared right in front of her. Who are you calling a sucker? Cut the nonsense. Give me my stuff back and I'll let this slide. If I can't beat you, I'll give it back. But only if you agree to one condition. I grew up here. I know every route, even the hidden spots. Like the places that can handle a sunflower. This kind of thing is usually managed by the association. It's extremely rare and hardly ever shows up on the open market. So what do you want? I'll introduce you to a reliable buyer, but I want a cut. You get 60%, I get 40%. Didn't expect this kid to be so sharp. Guess I'll have to scare her a little. Are you kidding me? I was going to let you off easy, but now looks like I'll have to kill you. The girl trembled with fear. Quit bluffing. If I hide, there's no way you'll ever find me. Doesn't that bite Mark itch? Pori can even take down S-rank hunters. Suddenly, a powerful presence filled the air, and a phantom of the Red Viper materialized before her. It wasn't a real snake, but it was enough to terrify anyone. Don't get it twisted. No matter where you hide, I can drag you out. Got it. The girl was so frightened she could barely speak. Only then did the man realize he'd gone too far. He quickly dispelled the illusion and introduced himself. Hi, I'm Chin Hee-sun. And you? The girl stammered and said her name was Bisu. Well then's lead the way. The scene shifted again. Looks like you've brought me someone interesting. So what good stuff have you brought this time? You're the boss around here. Why would the boss himself show up for an ordinary deal? My daughter said we had a guest. As her father, of course I had to see for myself. The man decided he'd better wrap up the deal quickly and leave. So are you willing to trade this bronze sunflower with me? Of course. Supply's been tight lately. But I have one condition. If you can kill it. A hunting hound suddenly appeared. Since you managed to pick a sunflower, that means you've got what it takes to beat a boss. Taking down a hound shouldn't be hard for you. If you lose, I won't buy your merchandise. So will you run away? Or fight for the deal? The man dispatched the hound in an instant. So what are you willing to pay? Interesting. Seems my daughter brought me someone out of the ordinary this time. Do you want to pay up front? But the next moment, the girl scolded the man harshly for his disrespect toward her father. Who said you could speak? Immediately, an intense pressure bore down on him. Shit, this is killing intent. All it took was one wrong word from his daughter for him to unleash such terrifying bloodlust. Is this guy insane? Just the aura alone is enough to choke me. He's the craziest person I've ever met. Then the boss spoke. I'll give you 60 million for the flower. The man replied instantly. For that price, I'd be your son if you wanted. He then healed the girl's injuries. A while later, the man left in high spirits. Did all your scars heal? They did, but don't worry. The ones father left are still there. Looking at the black ether residue on the ground. I get why you were fooled by his illusion. This sticky, oppressive feeling reminds me of that terrifying shadow from years ago. Get up. You can still fight, can't you? Or do you want to stay conscious while you're being torn to pieces? Damn it. That's one memory I'd rather forget. After trading the sunflower, the man made his way to the Hunter Association. Hello, I'm here to register. But as soon as he walked in, people turned up their noses at his appearance. The staff barely finished registering him before hurrying him out. People like this actually want to sign up as a healer. What a disgrace. The scene shifted. On his way home, the man was drawn by the voice of a middle-aged woman. Will the Glory Guild ever give us an answer? Why did you abandon the people of Gibandong? Why did my son have to die in there? Hearing this, the man felt a pang in his heart, but there was nothing he could do. He could only make a silent vow to himself. Just then, a member of the Glory Guild approached. An E-rank hunter. He went straight to the woman and warned her. We already explained this last time. Cause another scene and you'll regret it. Do you really have to do this? As he spoke, he raised his fist to strike the woman. But the man stepped in and blocked him. What do you think you're doing? Answer my question first. I'm just doing my job. You're a guild member and you're attacking a civilian. Are you crazy? I'm just carrying out official business. Who are you anyway? I'm a hunter candidate this year. Then you'd better leave while I'm still being polite. And if I don't, then don't blame me for what happens next. The woman cried out, be careful, young man. But the man answered confidently, don't worry, I'll win for sure. You punk, you've got a big mouth. I already warned you. With that, the man took him down in an instant. This guy is definitely not just some ordinary applicant. If the whole guild is like you, it deserves to collapse. You're dead. I'll kill you. Go ahead and try. And to think you're wearing that guild badge. What a disgrace. Just then, the guild leader appeared. Is he one of the higher-ups? The leader spoke. If you're here to cause trouble, I suggest you leave. S-rank is the goal every hunter spends a lifetime chasing. Death, despair, failure. These are experiences every hunter must face. But S-rank hunters are never afraid of such things. When confronted with monsters, they display overwhelming strength. When trapped in desperate situations, they always manage to create miracles. That is what it means to be S-rank. And standing before him were the legendary S-rank hunters. Gujini, S-rank warrior. Maria, S-rank healer. I heard there was trouble here, so I came to take a look. You're the one who laid hands on a guild hunter, aren't you? Just because you're strong doesn't mean you can use your strength however you want. Don't twist my words. What's that supposed to mean? Should I have just let him do what he wanted? I know candidates aren't supposed to attack hunters, but does that mean hunters can attack civilians? If that's the case, then yes, I was in the wrong. The guild leader glanced at Maria, then turned and apologized to the man. I'm sorry, this was my oversight. You did the right thing. The offender will be punished severely. As for the victim, I'll have the vice president take care of it. At least you know how to own up. But aren't you going to handle it yourself? Don't you get it? That lady is from Gibandong. I heard she lost all her children in that incident. What a tragedy. It was something you could have prevented. President, the area around the Hunter Association is spotless. But in Gibandong, there are still bloodstains that haven't been cleaned up. That's right, I'm from Gibandong too. First, let me congratulate you on rescuing so many people in the Guppadong operation. It's a blessing that some victims survived. But why didn't you go to Gibandong? At first, I tried to understand you. But were you really powerless to save the people of Gibandong? If the Glory Guild had arrived in time, at least half the deaths could have been avoided. Were you just afraid to risk your life? Well, say something. You're letting your emotions run too high. Your view is too narrow. You don't see the whole picture. I understand your passion, but at least try to speak calmly and explain yourself when you talk to me. So what? You're just the #1 ranked hunter, aren't you? At that moment, a powerful aura swept across the room. A surge of energy shot toward the sky. That's enough. You're being far too rude. It seems you're very confident in your own strength. A ribbon of violet energy spiraled upward. Didn't you just ask me if I had confidence in my abilities? To be honest, I don't really know. So this is the perfect chance to find out. Meanwhile, everyone's eyes were fixed on the black ether unleashed by Gujini. On the other side, the guild leader said he'd let the matter go if the man just apologized. But the man simply raised a middle finger in response. So you're choosing the hard way. Consider this a lesson you won't forget. He reached out with a massive hand, only to be stopped by Maria's voice. In an instant, a golden barrier appeared, blocking the strike. President, I know you want to challenge the candidate, but what if innocent people get hurt? At that, everyone began to envy the man for having the president himself demonstrate a skill. Catching the whispers around him, the president's expression shifted in an instant. This is a very practical skill. I hope you picked up on it. Don't make that face. I have a feeling we'll be seeing a lot of each other in the future. Afterward, Maria apologized to the man. I have no defense for the Gibandong incident. I promise there will be compensation for the victims. Gibandong used to be Glory Guild's territory, and yet you ignored it. All your talk of the strongest shield, of miracles, of compensation, none of it matters to the dead. President, please stand down. He's right. We really did fail them. Maybe others see me as the villain, but those who died were real people. Just thinking about how his sister almost died because of them made the man's heart ache. Stop using human lives as stepping stones for your success. Wait, can I ask what position you applied for? Healer. I may not be able to save everyone, but I'll never give up on a single soul. I can't believe he's a healer. With Black Issa like that, I just hope he can use it for good in this role. At the same time, damn, if I'd really fought him, I wouldn't have stood a chance. Maria stepped in just in time, but in that moment, it felt like a mountain was standing in my way. I thought it'd gotten stronger, but I still have a long way to go. When the man got home, he found Bisu had already been waiting for him. He immediately shooed Bisu out the door. Wait, isn't it a little cold to treat a friend like this? If you come near me again, I won't show any mercy. Just then his sister landed a punch, knocking him flat. A friend comes all this way to visit and you throw them out. That's just too hurtful. After a while, I'm not planning to do anything to your sister, so why are you so on edge? To be honest, it's not you I don't trust. It's your father. Nothing happened during the deal, but he's hiding too many secrets. If he did something to you without you knowing, my sister could be in danger. Bisu explained, I can't guarantee he didn't do anything, but I think he just wants to be friends with you. He even sent me to help. That's just surveillance. I heard the supply of sunflowers is drying up, and the association is watching closely. If someone showed up with a sunflower for trade, I'd keep tabs on them too. So you did notice. Then Bisu told her story. She wasn't related to her father by blood. She used to be a street orphan. He was the one who took her in. I still don't know why he left a scar on my face, but I can tell he likes you. If anyone else had shown him that kind of disrespect, they'd already be in pieces. Soon they arrived at their destination. I heard there's a silver sunflower in this dungeon. Does that mean the boss is strong? That's right. So I hope you make it back in one piece. Of course, I am the queen of dungeons after all. The scene shifted. Bisu pulled a vial from her bag. This is a monster-tracting potion. Just pour it into a pit and monsters will come running. But the man dumped the entire potion over himself instead. Are you crazy? That's basically suicide. Don't worry. I'll kill them all. Bisu tossed him a golden pill, an antidote that would keep him safe from poison for 3 hours inside the dungeon. But the man waved her off, saying he didn't need it, because going into a dungeon felt just like coming home. No sooner had he stepped inside than he was being chased by a horde of monsters. Goblins. Physical rating E, all other stats D, 1-star difficulty. There must be hundreds of these goblins. They've got numbers, but to me, they're just walking experience points. In a flash, he drew his dagger, used his poison step, and his figure blurred. A storm of slashes rained down, clearing the monsters before him in an instant. The remaining goblins scattered in terror. But how could they possibly escape his pursuit? With a few swift swings, the goblins collapsed, poisoned, dying before they hit the ground. Too easy. For low-level monsters like this, there's no weapon handier than this dagger. Though now that I think about it, it seems to only have 2 attack modes. Should I ask the inventory for more details? Never mind. I'm sure I'll figure it out in the next hunt. The scene shifted again. The man had already wiped out all the goblins. He opened his status window and saw that Poison Step had leveled up to 2. With just a D-rank body stat, my speed is already insane. If I raise it higher, I'll be unstoppable. But I still haven't found the silver sunflower. Maybe it's not the dungeon's treasure after all. Could it be hidden out in the desert? He leapt down from a pile of goblin corpses. Just then, a figure sped toward him from deep within the sands. A moment later, a 1,000-legged centipede erupted into view. 1,000-legged centipede, physical rating B, all other stats A. 4-star difficulty. Looks like I'll be clocking out early today. He launched himself at the centipede, but I doubt this thing will go down so easily. The man dashed back and forth across the centipede's back at dizzying speed. Damn, its shell is tougher than I thought. He tried striking the same spot over and over but couldn't even scratch the surface. Suddenly, the centipede launched a savage attack, and he barely managed to dodge in time. 1 split second slower and I'd be dead. The creature's massive body left him at a complete loss. Ordinary attacks were pointless. There was no way to pierce that shell. Even worse, while Poison Step was a great skill, it only worked well on firm ground. In the loose desert sand, its effectiveness was cut at least in half. Still, he considered himself lucky. While airborne, he caught a glimpse of the silver sunflower. It was a little blurry, but he was certain. That had to be the legendary silver sunflower. But just knowing where it was didn't help. With no real advantage, there was no way he could break through the monster to reach the flower. The centipede attacked again. This time he slipped, taking the full brunt of the blow. Damn, it feels like every joint in my body just shattered. Gritting his teeth against the pain, he forced his body to recover. If this keeps up, I'm done for. But how am I supposed to collect the sunflower? If my current weapon form can't break through, switching to White Dream won't help either. Just then, as if responding to his thoughts, the dagger began to break apart, reassembling itself into new equipment. In the next instant, every shard attached itself to his shoes. The moment he put them on, it felt like standing on solid ground. He felt lighter than air. With these, I can finally pierce its shell. The centipede attacked again, but the man kept his composure. He used Poison Step to dodge with ease, his movements seamless, the monster unable to lay a claw on him. At last, he found the legendary sunflower and swiftly tucked it away. All that's left is to put the monster to sleep. He summoned a White Dream. Killing the boss would yield a core, but the dungeon was under association surveillance. If he were caught trespassing, he'd lose his hunter qualification for good. Once the boss was dead, the entire dungeon would collapse. So he chose instead to put the monster to sleep with White Dream. But how do I pierce its shell? He realized the dagger had responded to his will just moments ago. Maybe its form changed according to the user's intent. He visualized what he needed, and the dagger transformed instantly into the perfect weapon for piercing armor. He hurled it with all his might. The drill-shaped weapon drove straight through the centipede. The monster immediately fell into a deep sleep. It's because of this thing that the fight dragged on so long. So what is Bisu doing? On the other side, Bisu had already been waiting outside the dungeon entrance for over 7 hours. At that moment, the man finally emerged from the dungeon, cradling the beloved sunflower in his arms, only to be surprised to find Bisu still waiting for him. He called out to Bisu with enthusiasm, but she wore a look of pure annoyance. That's all you have to say for yourself. I've been waiting here for over 7 hours, you know. Taking in the traces of poison on Bisu's body and the messy medical kit behind her, he instantly realized it was all for his sake that she ended up like this. He reached out and healed her injuries, and the two of them happily headed home together. The scene changed. 2 months passed. They got along wonderfully, and together they'd collected 5 bronze sunflowers and 1 silver sunflower. But the man also noticed that Bisu would repeat the same phrases at the same time every day, and no matter what she said, there was always a hint of fear toward her father. Isn't that the same father I saw at the market? Whatever, neither of these fathers seemed like good people. Morning came, and the two got ready to go to the market to trade. His sister said goodbye to Bisu. These past 2 months, I've come to see you as a little sister. You're always welcome here, and I'll always be waiting for you. Bisu nodded tearfully, promising she'd come back. The scene shifted again as they arrived at the underground market. Not far off, 2 people were arguing and things were getting physical. Just then, a figure appeared to break them up. If you keep this up, I won't just stand by and watch. Are you the father from the market? No, I'm just a cleaner who specializes in solving problems. The man felt a jolt in his heart as he sensed the overwhelming aura radiating from the older man. It was the same suffocating pressure he'd felt from Gu Jinyi. Except this opponent was even more formidable than he had imagined. Tiger Guild member Kim Kwanho, class, warrior, body rank B, skill, overwhelming strength, innate trait, berserk level 2. Kim Kwanho asked the cleaner, what would you do if he cheated you? The man replied, this is the market. As long as the deal is made, anything goes. Suddenly, Kim Kwanho lunged at him. I already gave you a chance. With a single grappling move, the cleaner instantly subdued Kim Kwanho. The scene shifted again. Kim Kwanho was left with a bruised and swollen face, yet he was unusually exhilarated. Because he had activated his innate skill, Berserk, he immediately launched a fierce assault on the older man. But soon he realized something was wrong. With a twist, the older man appeared behind him in a flash. Kim Kwanho, enraged, threw another heavy punch, but ended up smashing himself in the face. Even the man watching couldn't believe it. What kind of skill is this? Can someone really do that? Every time Kim Kwanho attacked, the older man easily neutralized it, never even letting him land a blow. Are you starting to feel scared? Don't worry. I'll put an end to this quickly. The older man suddenly went on the offensive. While Kim Kwanho was still dazed, the older man's figure split into 3. Take a good rest. With a single punch, Kim Kwanho dropped to the ground. Impressive. Kim Kwanho's tough, but he still couldn't last long against this man. Just then, Bisu greeted the older man and called for the other cleaners to handle the scene. The man could only marvel at how unfathomable the older man was. Even after such intense movement, he wasn't breathing hard at all. He tried to use his device to look up the older man's details, but was met with a notice that the target's data had been erased. Could he not be a registered hunter? Eventually, the device connected to the database, returning only the basics. Name Ojiho, age 49. Trade unconfirmed. So much had been deleted, there was hardly any useful information left. The device worked on verifying his physical grade at the time of deletion. The man guessed the older man's physical ability was at least S rank, but he was still curious about the older man's class. Soon, the device returned a result. Current body grade. E rank? Only rank E. That's impossible. An E rank could never beat a B rank hunter. Ojiho interrupted his thoughts. I heard you did Miss Bisu a huge favor. If you're willing, I can take you to meet my boss. The man followed them to the trading site. This batch of sunflowers is worth 750 million in total. I nearly went bankrupt for this deal, but I heard you signed up for the hunter exam, and you chose healer as your class. Mind telling me why? Maybe you've already noticed, healing is just one of my abilities. I'm not a typical hunter, though I have my own goals. But if I use too much of my real power, I'll lose my hunter qualification. So I chose healer. There are other reasons, but I can't tell you yet. The boss declared the deal over, but the man shook his head. I don't think the deal's finished. I don't know what you're plotting, but I'll hear you out. But if I find you're messing around, be ready for the consequences. So what else do I owe you? Information fee. I told you about myself. My daughter already told me all about you. And if I refuse to pay, trying to make me laugh, you're my most trusted dealer. Either pay up or our business ends. Which do you think is better for you? Interesting. This trade didn't even exist, but you still found a way to get something for yourself. I like that. So what do you want? The man pointed to Ojiho. I want to learn his skills. You want to learn martial arts. Even the 750 million you just made isn't nearly enough for that. Just as I expected. Then consider it a debt I owe you. Bisu scolded the man. Why would you owe him a favor? Didn't I warn you? He's not just any dangerous man. I understand your concern, Bisu, but I have my reasons. I'm curious. Why do you have to go this far? Because a weapon should always be as strong as possible. And even though I saw it only once, that technique is incredibly practical. As a poison eater, my offense is already strong, but I lack real combat experience. Most of the monsters I beat before was thanks to Poison Step's explosive power. My regular attacks aren't much different from anyone else's. And I doubt this approach will work forever. Plus Ojiho's ability. Most hunters' levels don't change much after awakening, so his physical rank is probably still E. Yet his technique is far beyond anything I imagined. So even if it costs everything, I want to learn it. So will you trade with me? The boss tilted his head, a sly smile on his face. You'd give up anything for this. Yes, I would. Very well, I accept. But not now. Wait until I call for you. We need time to prepare too. In the meantime, take this. When your training is finished, I'll tell you what I really want. Until next time. I'm curious, why not learn directly from me? The man immediately refused. I'm not ready to die just yet. Looks like all I can do now is focus on the hunter exam. At that moment, Bisu called out to the man, reminding him to give it his all in the hunter exam. Don't worry. I'll definitely take first place. The scene shifted. The hunter exam had officially begun. Countless candidates surged into the venue. Veterans were all hoping to spot a promising new S rank. Right then, Yu Ji-won captured everyone's attention. He was the most talked about rookie hunter. He took the opportunity to share his thoughts on the spot. I want to become an outstanding healer and protect everyone. Because my healing powers are strong. Another hunter expressed a different opinion. I don't have any expectations for this guy. Like many others, he only cared about his own interests. To him, becoming a hunter was just a stepping stone for promotion. Back when the guild president fell ill, Kang Hyun had already started to go astray. There were even scandals about Gu Jinhee, but thanks to his good image, Gu Jinhee's career remained unscathed. The reality was, people no longer trusted hunters as they once did. Looking back, there really were responsible hunters in the past. Though that was a long time ago, the only one left. The strongest hunter the whole world still trusted. Meanwhile, a figure stepped forward. Hello, I'd like to apply as a healer. Please tell us your name. The next second, the examiner was caught off guard by her face. Hello, my name is Chin Hee-sun. The scene shifted again. The man headed to the exam site and accidentally bumped into Yu Ji-won. He quickly apologized, but Yu Ji-won remained aggressive, even knocking his phone to the ground. After a fake apology, he added a taunting warning. Don't try to steal my spotlight. And did you dig that outfit out of the trash? The man wasn't having it. This guy's got a sharp tongue. He grabbed Yu Ji-won by the collar. Apologize. No, you jerk. Just then, an announcement sounded. The first round of testing is about to begin. Candidates, please stand by your awakening value meters. Yu Ji-won immediately issued a challenge. How about we see whose number's higher? Loser pays 10 million. The man shot back. Don't you dare back out or you'll regret it. Meanwhile, Maria was shocked by Yu Ji-won's transformation. He was only E rank before, but judging by the black ether in his body now, he's at least B rank. What do you think, President? I'm not sure. I can't observe black ether the way you can. Maria went on. Yu Jiwon's been coming to our research lab a lot lately. Every time he returns, the black ether inside him skyrockets. There's definitely a secret behind him. Now it was time for the two to be tested. Please place your hands on the meter. It's finally starting. The most promising hunter in this year's exam. Yu Jiwon. He's the Vice Guild Master's son, and everyone assumes he's a force to be reckoned with. But Yu Jiwon wore a look of utter disdain. In his mind, first place had already been decided as his. With supreme confidence, he pressed his hand to the testing device. In the next moment, his core burst into golden light, and countless wisps of black ether drifted down through the air. The sight left everyone stunned. So this is the gap between us and him. Candidate Yu Jiwon, awakening value 9103. Desd past. It was only a number, but even among B-rank hunters, it was impressive. He thought the man would give up on the spot after seeing such a gap. But to his surprise, the man stepped forward. Still want to struggle a little longer. The man calmly placed his hand on the measuring device. The core flashed gold once more, and a surge of energy shot toward the sky. Everyone on site was left speechless. Even the guildmaster was visibly shocked. The results soon came in. Candidate 117, Chin Hee-sun. Unable to determine value. Did the machine break? Yu Jiwon couldn't help but burst out laughing. Is your score so low the machine can't even read it? Just then, the examiner stepped forward to announce. Due to equipment error, Candidate 117 will be retested. All examinees, please exit the hall for now. Hello, I'm Head Examiner Pyo Hyokju. Sorry for the trouble. Would you mind testing again? This machine was built to detect exceptionally high readings. As long as you release a bit of black ether, it can get a precise measurement. Someone nearby whispered under their breath. Do you know what that is? That's a golden core. Only bosses with a danger rating of 7 stars or higher have one. This machine was made specifically for monsters that ordinary devices can't measure. Which means this guy's black ether isn't too low. It's off the charts. It's unexpected, but here's the result. Chin Hee-sun awakening value 100,000. Desd past. The entire hall exploded in excitement with everyone shouting, a new S-rank hero is born. People swarmed in, surrounding him on all sides. Chin Hee-sun had no choice but to use Poison Step to slip away, silently thinking how terrifying the crowd was. Just then Yu Jiwon stormed over, his face dark. Got something to say to me? Speak up. But he could only stammer, unable to get any words out. Chin Hee-sun tossed him a slip of paper. Don't forget to pay up. Yu Jiwon glared at the note, seething inside. Chin Hee-sun, I swear I'll kill you. At the same time, 2 pairs of eyes had already locked onto him. None other than the president and vice president of the Bishop Guild. The upper limit of a golden core is 100,000, but this guy's potential clearly doesn't stop there. All the promising newcomers last year were poached away. This year, no matter what it takes, we have to keep him. Everyone stay sharp. We absolutely can't let anyone steal him from us this time. Meanwhile, Gujini was practically trembling with excitement. I thought he was just a common earthworm, but it turns out he's a dragon. Moments later, the second round of testing began. So this time I'm supposed to heal this guy. A massive white tiger lay in front of the man. If the first test was all about numbers, this round was a true test of ability. After all, black ether content isn't everything. Only real healing skill gives a complete picture. This time, the subject was an injured monster. Successfully healing it meant passing the exam. Other candidates looked at the man in shock, because his test subject was by far the largest creature present. He, on the other hand, was full of curiosity. A monster this strong, and they actually managed to catch it. What is this thing's background? Even the equipment can't identify it. The other candidates all had small monsters to heal. If they'd made it through the first round, this stage was almost a guarantee. Damn it, this exam is tougher than I thought. How am I supposed to heal something this huge? Just then, a voice echoed in his mind. So it's you, the one who wants me dead. The man blinked in confusion. Am I the only one who can hear this? And what's it talking about? Don't play dumb. You humans, aren't you the ones who damaged my core? You've got it wrong. I'm not here to kill you. I'm here to save you. My core's already broken. How could you possibly heal me? Or are you just a smooth talker? You'll know soon enough whether I'm bluffing. He gently raised his right hand, letting waves of black ether flow over the white tiger's body. The 2 examiners watched in astonishment. Forget the black ether. His healing technique is unbelievably skilled. Is he really a rookie? Even the tiger took notice. It seems this isn't your first time. Your methods are quite practiced. But you do realize healing me is dangerous for you too. That's fine. If you die, I fail the test. You'd risk your life for an exam. Do you really expect me to believe that? If you value your life, you should stop right now. Why do you care if I live or die? Still, you're not as bad as you act. The man increased the output of energy in his hands. Don't worry, I'm tough. Just relax and accept the treatment. But can you really heal my wounds? If you're willing to cooperate, of course I can. Interesting. You treat monsters the same as people. But don't humans treat monsters as enemies? It's true. Monsters hurt humans to survive, but some people are even more monstrous than monsters. Still, if someone is willing to heal a monster, there must be monsters who want to save humans too. Is that so? A few moments later, the man finished the healing. Treatment's done. Remember, aftercare is included. Don't forget. Aftercare. While I was healing you, I quietly corroded your iron chains. Corroded them? Are you really a healer? Of course, but some things I can't explain just yet. Use this time to get away while you can. The white tiger fell into deep thought. You're the first person I've ever met like this. I choose to trust you. Since that person, this is the first time I felt this sense of familiarity. In fact, I'm not truly a monster. You humans call me a spirit. I am the Imperial Tiger, guardian of the Great Land Spirit Realm. Then the white tiger asked his name. I'm Chin He-sun, soon to be the strongest hunter. I swear on my existence, I entrust half my life to you. I'll be watching your future. Thank you for saying that. Meanwhile, the proctor announced the results. Candidate 117, Chin He-sun. Test passed. Meanwhile, candidate Yu Ji-won was trembling with anxiety. His attempt to heal the monster had failed. Just then, the time for the second round ran out. The examiner signaled for him to stop immediately, but he pleaded desperately, begging the examiner for just one more minute. At that moment, the announcement sounded, officially ending the second round of testing. All candidates, please cease operations. Damn it, who was it? Immediately after, Chief Examiner Pyo Hyokju declared on the spot. Candidate Yu Ji-won, you have failed. He strode over to Yu Ji-won. We have to ensure fairness and justice in this exam. That's the association president's order. And you tried to extend your testing time. Isn't that the same as disregarding the president? This is ridiculous. Do you even know who my father is? Pyo Hyokju motioned for Kang Jun to calm him down. A second later, Yu Ji-won was forcibly restrained on the spot. Please remain calm, candidate. Right now, your health is a bigger concern than your test result. You're showing signs of black ether depletion. Black ether depletion. A state of weakness caused by overusing black ether. At that moment, the man spotted him and couldn't help but mock. Pathetic. You couldn't even heal a monster like that. Yu Ji-won seethed with rage. Damn it, I'll remember you. The scene shifted. Chief Examiner Pyo Hyokju arrived at the Vice President's office. The Vice President was clearly displeased with Pyo Hyokju's earlier actions. I heard you rated Yu Ji-won as an E-rank hunter. The speaker was none other than Yu Ji-won's father. That's right. He did well in the first round but failed the practical test. The Vice President tossed the hunter roster in front of Pyo Hyokju. Do you think this is appropriate? You sabotaged my Ji-won's exam. And I heard the golden core was damaged during testing. What's the story? Pyo Hyokju replied, I followed the rules the entire time. What should we do about the damaged core? I heard the core is completely ruined. Handle it yourself. Pyo Hyokju nodded in agreement. Meanwhile, the man received the S-rank hunter medal in front of a crowd. We hope you'll save even more people in the future. Just then, he noticed Yu Ji-won standing nearby. That guy's only E-rank. He's got a huge amount of black ether, but his strength doesn't match up at all. What a waste. As soon as he stepped out the door, the man was instantly surrounded by reporters. Everyone fought to interview him. He suddenly snatched a microphone. I'm honored to become an S-rank hunter, but I won't be doing interviews right now. With that, he used Poison Step to slip away from the scene. I doubt anyone can catch me now. It's actually not that hard. Suddenly, a man blocked his path. Nice to meet you. This is Ga Hanshin and I'm Ga Yolchin. You've heard of the Bishop Guild, right? If you'll join us, whatever terms you want. We'll meet them. I think you've misunderstood. I did want to join a guild at first. Just then, a new figure interrupted them. There's no need to bother with a bargain bin guild like that. Why not come to our Glory Guild instead? But he refused outright. Why should I join? We're hardly close enough to look out for each other yet. Exactly. If you're going to join any guild, it should be Bishop Guild first. Gu Jini's face twisted with impatience. Move your filthy hand, unless you want to spend the rest of your life with only one. At the same time, Ga Hanshin drew his sword in response. Are you looking to die? So what if I am? Gu Jini vanished without a trace. The next instant, his overwhelming aura shattered the ice all around them. You want to challenge me? It's a shame Maria isn't here. Even if you got frostbitten, she could heal you in a heartbeat. You're awfully arrogant. With that, Gu Jini launched his attack. He threw a fierce punch. But Ga Yolchin caught it bare-handed. No wonder Bishop Guild always ranks behind Glory Guild. What's that supposed to mean? Ga Yolchin signaled for Ga Hanshin to stand down. This is a residential area. If you fight here, it'll be dangerous. He turned and apologized to the man. Sorry about this, Chin Hee-sun. You had to see the guilds at their worst. If you're willing, we'll invite you again another time. But the man still refused, since Bishop Guild's headquarters was too far from his home. Though if he could work from home, he'd consider it. Both men were dumbfounded. What kind of hunter works from home? Then would you consider joining Glory Guild? No way. I'd never join a guild like that, even if it killed me. That's a bit much. One day you'll understand. We can't mix with something that shallow. In the end, the only guild worthy of you will be Glory Guild. For hunters, dying in a dungeon is nothing unusual. But which dungeon claims the most lives? Is it the poison-filled ones, or those with overwhelmingly powerful bosses? Actually, no. The dungeon with the highest death toll is the beginner dungeon. Newbie hunters often let their guard down in the easiest dungeons and end up losing their lives for nothing. In response, the guild has created a new rule. From now on, rookie hunters can only enter dungeons below 3 stars in a 5-person team. Hunters who meet the dungeon's level requirements may go solo. Thus, the hunter probation period was born. Today, the man would be entering a dungeon with 4 others. 2 teammates recognized Chin Hee-sun right away and greeted him warmly. He replied that he was happy to meet everyone, but the other 2 teammates hadn't arrived yet. Just then those 2 finally strolled in, deliberately late. Now that everyone's here, let's talk about the dungeon. Is this your first time in a dungeon? It was his first official team, but in truth, he'd run through more than a dozen dungeons on his own. I thought so. Don't be fooled by our appearances. We're actually veterans. Chin Hee-sun, you may be an S-rank hunter, but your class probably isn't suited for monster capture, right? If you're willing to pay, we can handle everything for you. And if I don't need your help, then we won't force you. By the way, those 2 over there have already paid. The truth is, as long as your physical stats are D-rank, this dungeon is a cakewalk. So why are they charging a helping the newbie fee? Well, I get it. This is a scam. They're drifters kicked out of their guilds. Soloing dungeons is too risky, so they sneak into low-level ones and make a living off rookie hunters' fees. But they're bold, trying this trick in front of an S-rank hunter. I'm curious to see what kind of game they're playing. The scene shifted. The 2 were swiftly clearing out the low-level monsters in front of them. These monsters are laughably weak. They're just E-rank fodder. There's really no need to make such a big deal out of it. Still, they put on a show of being extra serious. Meanwhile, Park Hyasing quietly let one monster slip away. Is this because I didn't pay their fee? Such petty tricks. How boring. The monster suddenly lunged at the man, but he dispatched it with a single slash. This kind of joke goes too far. The 2 nearby watched him in utter admiration. Aren't you 2 going to try hunting yourselves? They act all tough, but honestly, we should use this chance to get some real practice. But they admitted they didn't have any confidence at all. So you're just going to stand there and do nothing. Those E-rank monsters are basically giant rats. What's there to be afraid of? Besides, you don't have to worry about getting hurt. I am a healer after all. With a few simple words of encouragement, the 2 finally decided to join the hunt. But their problem still isn't solved. Just then, 2 attacks struck the monster in front of Park Hyasing. What's going on? Probably those 2 rookies trying to help. Didn't I tell you guys not to interfere? We just wanted to help out. If that's the case, you should save your strength. Because there'll be monsters coming up the size of a house. At that moment, a rustle came from the tall grass nearby. Looks like the boss is about to show up. And you all know a boss's attacks are no joke. Park Hyasing immediately demanded an extra $1,000,000 as a fee, or else he'd take no responsibility for whatever happened next. This isn't what you promised before. You said you'd protect us until we cleared the dungeon. That was then. Now I don't care. If you're not happy, go ask that healer in the back for help. He paid, so he's got nothing to worry about. So what are you going to do? An S-rank hunter ought to take some responsibility. Right then, a massive monster appeared before them. You might be S-rank, but I bet this is your first time dealing with something like this. Aren't you afraid of guild retaliation? Are you kidding? He hasn't even joined a guild. What do we have to be scared of? Hurry up and decide, Chin Hee-sun. Unless you pay up, we're leaving the dungeon. I'm sure you'll make the right choice. After all, S-rank hunters carry heavy responsibilities. But the man remained perfectly calm. When I was a kid, I really admired hunters. But when I grew up, I realized they're just trash. At that, the 2 of them trembled as an invisible pressure washed over them. What level is this guy's black ether? If you lay a finger on us, the media will be all over it in seconds. Did you hear about that rookie on Hunter exam day? Gu Jinyi personally gave him a lesson. That rookie was me. Yeah, I think I heard about that. Suddenly Park Hyosang launched an attack at him, but the man dodged it without any effort. The next instant, Park was completely stunned. What's wrong? Are you going to keep going? Honestly, it's disappointing. Meanwhile, the giant boss was silently creeping closer to the man. So, do you still think you're in any position to bargain with me? Hurry up and answer. With nothing but his presence, the man left the two of them utterly paralyzed on the spot. Haven't you figured out your situation yet? How ridiculous. If you're scared of something as trivial as this, you can forget about ever leeching off an S-rank hunter. So why do you still act so shameless? Come on, tell me. He knew he was being harsh, but decided a little intimidation was for the best. Then he offered them some advice. Even if you can't speak, you'd better find a way to answer me. This is no time for jokes. At his words, cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. If this keeps up, you two might not make it out alive. Maybe you need a little more convincing. In a flash, the man leapt forward, landing directly in front of the boss monster, and delivered a flying kick straight to its face. This is an S-rank hunter's personal service. Next time, remember to pay up. The two could do nothing but fume in silence. What on earth is this guy playing at? The boss, enraged by the attack, let out a furious roar. Wait, wasn't he supposed to be a healer? How did he do that? Can a healer even pull off something like that? The man reappeared behind the two, continuing to provoke the boss. The others still believed he was just trying to scare them. You're not thinking the same thing, are you? I can't stand people who play games with other people's lives. I know what it's like to be treated as less than human. By now, Park Hyosang was drenched in fear. What's the real difference between you and a monster? Don't you see? A beggar from Gibandong, a rookie with no real combat experience. He couldn't help but wonder what kind of ability the man had used to lull them in the first place. Meanwhile, the infuriated boss lunged at them, and they stood helpless to resist. Just as the boss was about to strike, a figure stepped in front of them. Jin Hee-sun, what do you think you're doing? With a single kick, the man sent the boss flying dozens of meters. Who would have thought an S-rank healer could have that kind of combat power? Without missing a beat, he closed in on the boss again. Energy surged in his hand, and a short blade took shape. Compared to the giant centipede he'd faced before, this monster was nothing. He slashed down, ending it in an instant. Is he really a healer? You look completely stunned. The effect will wear off soon. You'll be able to move and speak as normal. Sure enough, the two realized they could move freely again. The bald one tried to rush in for another attack, but Park Hyosang yanked him back. What are you doing? He just ruined our business. Let it go. You saw it yourself. If not for him, we'd be dead by now. Park Hyosang admitted that he'd never pull a stunt like this again. Right then, one of the rookie hunters called out to the man. Thank you so much for your help. You're so humble. You have kindness for the weak and mercy for your enemies. The man simply replied, it's nothing really. You're honestly the greatest hunter I've ever met. The man then returned the reward money to the two of them. Can we really take this back? He nodded in confirmation. It was yours to begin with. But we barely helped at all during the hunt. Honestly, just keeping today's events a secret is the biggest help you could give me. Besides, there are plenty of other ways to earn rewards outside of this. He firmly declined their offer of gratitude. You're impossible. Are all hunters this stubborn? That's right. I wasn't planning to keep it anyway. Let's just quietly head out now. But if we owe you a favor, our conscience won't let us rest. With that, they handed him a business card. At least take this. What's this? Umbrella Industry. I feel like I've heard of it. Why would they give me this? Take a closer look at the name. Du Yesu. Wait. That's right, he's our father. The company isn't huge, but we're sure it could help you if you ever need anything. Please reach out if you do. It seemed their family was quite well off. Thinking back on returning the reward, the man couldn't help feeling a little awkward now. The two said their goodbyes and left. The scene shifted. The man had collected 14 cores from the dungeon. Is it because this was a one-star dungeon? The cores are a lot smaller than before. But can I absorb this black core? Black cores dropped by venomous monsters are laced with deadly poison. Ordinary hunters can't absorb them, and so they're kept in a separate category. Just then, his device chimed with a system notification. User's core absorption is unrestricted. Even ordinary cores can be absorbed without loss. Perfect. Now I won't have to go out of my way for high poison dungeons. He picked up a core and absorbed it. In an instant, it vanished completely. That's it. All 14 and they're just gone. He opened his status window to check. Didn't expect to absorb so little. But what's this connection thing? The connection skill lets him talk to monsters. Only those with intelligence, though. This should be useful. But why did it appear now? I guess that's how I could talk to the white tiger. I wonder if he made it out safely. But for now, he had bigger problems. His growth had slowed to a crawl. He wondered if he should enter a dungeon for a black core. Without one, he couldn't break through his bottleneck. Black cores contain dozens of times more black ether than regular ones, but they're packed with toxins and can't be absorbed or used as fuel. Humans have researched black cores for years but always failed. So black cores have always been considered the lowest tier. But devourers can absorb them effortlessly. That's one reason they grow so quickly. In reality, there aren't many hunters who can absorb cores at all. The cost is high and efficiency is less than half. The risk and return simply don't match. Ironically, absorbing cores is still the most effective way to get stronger. Most hunters hesitate because the price is steep, so their power stays at their awakening level. But now his progress was stuck. Looks like he'd have to finish his probation period as soon as possible. If he could absorb a golden core, maybe he could break through. Just then, 2 examiners arrived outside his home. A knock sounded, drawing his attention. Who would visit at this hour? I just saw the news. You cleared your first dungeon in style. Hello, I'm former Chief Examiner Pyo Hyokju. Kang-jun, why don't you say hello? Hi, I'm Choi Kang-jun. The man exchanged a few pleasantries with them. Congratulations on becoming an S-rank hunter. But is there a reason you've come here today? Hunter Chin Hee-sun, don't you feel you've been growing a bit slowly lately? I imagine we'll have a lot to talk about. I even brought some desserts. If you have the time, that is. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, they got straight to the point. Pyo Hyokju asked the man if he'd heard about the recent surge in dungeon appearances. The man replied that he hadn't, since he never paid attention to things that didn't concern him. And that was true. Whenever a dungeon appeared, it was usually managed by one of the guilds. But if a guild couldn't handle it, things got tricky. Just yesterday, 3 new dungeons had appeared, and that wasn't even the most pressing issue. Recently, emergency sirens had sounded in the city as well. A Stage 3 alert no less. Yellow code, one of Earth's highest emergency levels. Yellow signified a Stage 3 threat. Not long ago, an emergency alert had gone off in Gibendong, also for Stage 3 danger. The man immediately asked Pyo Hyokju if anyone had died because of it. Pyo Hyokju replied that so far there were no fatalities. But the man didn't seem convinced. This time, the alert isn't about the usual dangers of a dungeon, but something special. Apparently, monsters are now breaking out of the dungeon. Normally, they're trapped inside and never escape. But for some reason, this time, the monsters have been multiplying out of control. Now, the entrance that hunters use to go in has turned into an exit for the monsters. They swarm out through the gate and flood into the real world. This phenomenon is called monster stampede. Monster stampedes always lead to heavy casualties. That's why humanity stays on constant alert for any abnormality at the gates. That kind of situation is almost impossible to handle. Even though this time the dungeon is low level and losses are limited, if something like this happened with a 3-star or higher dungeon, the consequences would be unimaginable. Given the seriousness, the WHPO has kept the incident secret. WHPO, the world's most renowned hunter organization, wielding immense power and ultimate authority over hunters and dungeons. But simply hiding the truth can't solve the problem. The Hunter Association was already facing a serious manpower shortage. More than recruiting hunters, their biggest fear was that monsters could break out of a dungeon at any moment. During this time, Pyo Hyokju had also learned something interesting. That massive tiger had actually made a full recovery. A tiger filled with deadly poison, healed completely after just one treatment. This made Pyo Hyokju pay even closer attention to the man. He'd investigated him before, but always come up empty-handed. Soon after, Pyo Hyokju recommended a poison dungeon for him, saying no one was better suited for the job. Though a low-level poison dungeon posed no threat to an S-rank healer, if he accepted, the association would have a hold over him. So the man asked what reward he'd get for completing the task. They were prepared. They pulled a golden core from their bag. A golden core. They knew perfectly well why the golden core was the way it was. Because inside, it still held black ether left behind by the man himself. They were clearly leveraging this over him. Pyo Hyokju was blunt. It was something that would have been discarded anyway, but he figured the man might have a use for it. The man realized they were testing him, but he knew if he completed the task, their suspicions would be laid to rest. Faced with such a generous reward, he agreed to the job without hesitation. The scene shifted. The black ether within the S-rank golden core was as vast and boundless as the sea. Even for a man who was S-rank himself, he could currently absorb only 2% of its power. If he could take it all in, he'd easily outclass Ojiho. Before that thought could finish, Ojiho's palm landed squarely on his forehead. You can't afford to lose focus during training. Don't be fooled by Ojiho's gentle smile now. He was a devil when it came to training. The man decided to launch a surprise attack, but in the next instant, Ojiho's figure vanished. He slashed wildly with his blade, but it was already too late. A flying kick smashed into his face, and only then did he realize this wasn't training. It was a one-sided beating. Ojiho had once heard the man could take down a hellhound on his own, and had even looked forward to training him, but now he wasn't so sure. Of course, the man refused to accept it. After all, he'd paid a steep price to learn from Ojiho. He prepared to unleash his trump card. Poison Step. A flash of afterimage streaked by. So that's the move you used to kill the hellhound. Ojiho remained unfazed. The man was fast, but there were still openings. With a casual lift of his hand, Ojiho blocked the attack. Looks like young Master Hisun still needs to get used to his body. The man stared in disbelief. Still, Ojiho acknowledged his strength and decided to teach him a few tricks. Given his black ether reserves, the man was ready for body augmentation. Body augmentation was a technique for wrapping black ether around the entire body, enhancing every aspect. The man was brimming with confidence. He was sure he'd master it, but he was curious how long had it taken Ojiho to learn. Just the basics, Ojiho said, had taken 10 years. The man was speechless. Just then, Bisu strolled over, teasing him. A mighty S-rank healer still has to grind out the basics, huh? With no real talent, all I can do is drill the fundamentals. So, made any progress yet? The man looked lost, so Bisu gave him a hint. Ojiho's technique actually has a trick to it. This left the man stunned. Every time he uses his skill, there's a distinctive scent. It's not ordinary martial arts. It's more like a technique that borders on hallucination. So there's some invisible force at work. Suddenly the man remembered there really was a force like that. As Burrs, with Bisu's guidance, he finally saw the truth. Because the ability was so rare, he'd never thought to look for a multi-ability user. Telekinesis was the key to creating illusions. So Ojiho actually has two powers. The scene shifted. Although the man had found a lead, how to deal with telekinesis remained a difficult problem. Every telekinetics ability manifested in a completely different form and property. As the core of most hunters' strength, telekinesis had an incredibly broad range of applications. Just then, a bolt of lightning crashed down in the distance, instantly obliterating the monster before them. The one behind this attack was none other than the highly promising hunter, Li Yechen. While everyone was still reeling in shock, he was already eager to show off to the man. Chen Hisun, what do you think? I'm the most promising hunter. Li Yechen. He immediately launched into a bout of self-praise, talking so much that the man's ears were close to ringing. At that moment, a cry for help sounded from afar, catching the man's attention. He rushed over at once. He'd thought working with a guild would mean more freedom, but what greeted him was utter chaos. The scene shifted again. Could Li Yechen be a rookie hunter like me? Of course. He's got incredible potential. It took a lot of effort to bring him here. But as his senior in the guild, why are you hyping him up so much? Because he enjoys it, that's why. The man was at a loss for words. When invited to a senior's party, he politely declined, since after clearing a dungeon, he still had to get back to training. I didn't expect you to work so hard. That's what makes you worthy of being an S-rank hunter. Just then Li Yechen noticed something strange. The ground beneath them was glowing. His senior was alarmed and immediately began evacuating the crowd. This was the legendary secondary dungeon. But it was too late. The ground beneath everyone's feet split open in an instant. Now the top priority was to protect both Chen Hisun and Li Yechen. People all around tumbled down into the secondary dungeon. Li Yechen stood frozen, never having witnessed anything like this before. He couldn't even reach out as his brother fell right before his eyes. In that moment, doubt gnawed at him. Should he have entered this dungeon at all? Had he just doomed everyone? Pull yourself together. A voice rang in his ear. Do you want to lose everyone? As long as they're not killed outright, I can bring them back. Clenching his jaw, the man leapt into the secondary dungeon. Aren't you afraid? He was racked with inner turmoil, but the thought of losing his teammates gave him the courage to follow. They began to drift downward. Small mercies. But can you shield every guild member? That's impossible. Your brother's too far away, and the protection spell's limit is 4 people. 4 is enough. Are you planning to abandon your brother? The man's answer was resolute. Never. Just then, a piece of equipment flew toward him. Leave him to me. It's my first time facing a secondary dungeon too. This time, his reaction was a bit slower. Now he had to focus every ounce of his attention. He summoned his equipment and transformed it into stepping stones. In the blink of an eye, his gear became countless floating platforms circling around him. Using these footholds, he began hopping through the air. All around, his teammates were drifting slowly downward in the void. Suddenly, a figure flashed past. He had already rescued 2 people. They were nearing the bottom of the space. A fierce wind rushed up to meet them. So this was a secondary dungeon after all. The scene shifted again as everyone landed safely inside the new dungeon. Li Yechen stared in shock. He hadn't expected the man to come through all this without a scratch. Worry for the rest of his teammates crept into his expression. The man reassured him, telling him the others had landed nearby and were all right. But right now, the biggest threat was the flock of monstrous birds before them. Li Yechen's face grew grim. These monsters won't be easy. But the man looked completely at ease. As long as his gear touched them, the birds would die instantly. Li Yechen wondered if he'd hit his head in the fall and was just talking nonsense. So he decided to take the next fight himself. The man was caught off guard, not understanding why Li Yechen was so fired up. Just then, their teammates began to wake. Yechen, you're not getting all the glory this time. They all thanked the man for saving their lives. From here on, you can leave the fighting to us. Still, he couldn't help but worry for their safety. A moment later, everyone geared up for battle. The dark-haired hunter pulled out an explosive talisman and hurled it at the flock. A second later, the talisman detonated. The air filled with explosions and the birds' shrieks, smoke churning everywhere. Everyone thought the fight was over, but the dark-haired hunter's face was full of disbelief. The attack had done nothing at all. In an instant, the tables turned and the group was on the defensive. He tried to thin their numbers, but his attacks had no effect. So far, their performance had been decent, but time was not on their side. Humans just couldn't keep up with monsters forever. The man quietly raised his right hand and healed his wounds in an instant. A girl anxiously urged him to run. These weren't enemies they could handle, but he insisted on staying to fight. He was a healer and he wanted to keep everyone safe. She thought he was joking. There was no way to win this. But the man just smiled, giving up without even trying. That's the real joke. But you're a healer. Even as an S-rank, healers don't have offensive power. Even if you do nothing, we're still stuck in this mess. Only then did she realize she'd misspoken. Healers usually relied on their teammates, but their support abilities were invaluable. Not all healers, though, were the same. With a casual flick, the man hurled a short dagger. A dark blur shot through the air, and in a heartbeat, a monster bird fell from the sky. But that's not nearly enough. He dashed into the flock with poisoned step, moving so quickly no one could react, cutting down every monster in his path. The birds tried to ambush him from behind, but he dispatched them with a single blow. What a hassle. These daggers are handy, but there are just too many monsters. If only I had a better weapon. Something for ranged attacks with a wider area of effect. Like a lightning gun. Without pause, he switched weapons and launched his assault. A barrage of attacks swept through the flock. His teammates could only wonder, where did all these weapons come from? But can ordinary attacks really work? Of course they weren't ordinary. Each was infused with his black ether. In a flash, the whole flock was poisoned and dropped from the sky. That should do it. But the man was dizzy from overusing his black ether. Just then, a monster bird lunged at him. In the nick of time, a bolt of lightning struck, killing it instantly. Great timing with the backup. Well, you're facing me after all. But the man was nearly out of black ether. So how were they supposed to deal with the boss in front of them? The singing harpy. A telekinetic type, physical rating C, all other stats S, 6-star difficulty. Can we really win? But the man was confident. He still had enough black ether to move. He slashed open his arm, ready for one final gamble. What a shame. The boss just showed up and it's about to check out. In a blur, he appeared before the boss and unleashed his full power in a single blow. He'd realized during the Hellhound battle that the black ether in his blood was toxic enough to kill any monster. With one strike, the boss fell. Though a few teammates were injured, the man healed them at once. The secondary dungeon was cleared without a hitch. After a while, everyone was puzzled by the man's actions. He had played a decisive role in clearing the dungeon, yet he refused to accept any reward. He did have one condition, though, that everyone keep what happened just now a secret. And he never interfered in others' business. That was exactly the Aura Norton Guild's strategy. But for him, there wasn't any real benefit in it. So why did he go along with it? The answer was simple. It was just too much trouble otherwise. He didn't like being the center of attention. Ironically, this only made everyone more dissatisfied. So the man decided to leave early. He simply tossed out a good work everyone and slipped away as quickly as he could. On the surface, it looked like Chin Heesun had suffered a loss, but that wasn't the case. He had quietly absorbed a huge number of monster bird cores. His black ether had leveled up, and he even gained a new skill. Lion's Roar. This skill let him infuse black ether into his voice, directly suppressing an enemy's spirit. He did feel a bit guilty for taking the guild's share of the cores before anyone else, but the boost was too significant to pass up. With his gains in hand, he left the scene. The scene shifted. Following his phone's navigation, the man arrived outside a storefront. He thought this place was just right. Meanwhile, Yuk Chialwin of the Cleaning Mutual Aid Squad was enjoying a rare moment of everyday peace. He'd just earned the right to enter the poison dungeon. As long as he could find that key item, he could return to his old life. But this time, he realized he was going in alone. There were no teammates by his side. He called some old friends but was gently turned down, even advised to let go of unrealistic dreams. After all, there was no such thing as a golden herb in any dungeon. Stung by their mockery, he hung up in silence. He'd already lost everything chasing this dream. Just then, a knock sounded at the door. He opened it and froze in shock. Standing there was Chen He-sun. Yes, Chen He-sun, the most talked-about figure of late. The long-absent S-rank hunter, the young prodigy who'd inherited Maria's powers, a figure wrapped in mystery. What's someone like you doing here? Yuk Chialwin hurriedly welcomed him in but couldn't help asking, is there something I can help you with? The man replied that he'd heard this was a clan. Apparently, you could join and leave a clan freely, so it was obvious he'd come because he didn't want to be bound by a guild. He wondered if there might be a chance to team up together. The scene shifted. Yuk Chialwin's face was full of disbelief. After all, the legendary S-rank hunter was standing right in front of him. But just as the man was about to enter the dungeon, Yuk Chialwin stopped him. After all, their destination was the infamous poison dungeon, and the man seemed to have made no preparations at all. To this, the man simply said there was no need to worry, and strode straight into the dungeon. The scene shifted again. As soon as the man entered, he felt a wave of relief. Yuk Chialwin, meanwhile, was left standing there in a daze. He soon handed the man a digging tool. It was time to start mining precious ores. But just then, a horde of demonic horses charged straight at them. In theory, these monsters shouldn't attack humans unprovoked, but there was no time to worry about that now. It was the perfect opportunity to rack up some experience. The man's blade flashed, cutting down a swath of monsters in an instant. But in a moment of carelessness, two managed to slip past, rushing straight for Yuk Chialwin. The man was about to shout a warning, when a thunderous crash rang out. Yuk Chialwin dispatched both monsters with just 2 punches. The man was taken aback. How could a healer like Yuk Chialwin have such formidable combat power? Only then did he realize. The middle-aged man before him was actually a B-rank hunter. He never would have guessed someone so skilled would settle for being a dungeon janitor. Was there some hidden story here? But for now, the monsters were gone, and they could finally focus on gathering resources. As the man was mining with all his attention, his expression suddenly changed. He sensed a boss monster lurking nearby, watching them from the shadows. He signaled to Yuk Chialwin, "You'll have to finish the collecting on your own from here. I'll take care of the boss." With that, he used his movement technique and sped off toward the boss's location. Yuk Chialwin was left alone, still standing in place. Meanwhile, this was also the key moment to test the man's training. He recalled how Ojiho had been so pleased with his progress. Even though the man had only brushed Ojiho's sleeve, it was a level of skill that Ojiho himself had spent 10 years perfecting. But the second stage had proven far more difficult than he'd imagined. Suddenly, Ojiho launched a surprise attack. Now was the perfect time to see if his training had paid off. Come on, Wolfman. Now, even without using his poison abilities, he was confident he could win. But before the words left his mouth, the Wolfman's heavy fist came crashing down, knocking the man to the ground. He thought it was just a fluke, but the next second, a flurry of punches rained down like a storm. Even Yuk Chialwin couldn't help but shout out in alarm. Another heavy blow sent the man tumbling again. He even began to wonder if he was really cut out for close combat. The gap in levels couldn't be bridged by ordinary means. As he'd suspected, he couldn't master martial arts. Pure brawling alone couldn't win this fight. Though his talent was extraordinary, reaching a level in months that took others 10 years, his strength, speed, and reflexes all far surpassed normal people. But talent alone wasn't enough to master true martial arts in a flash. Then the Wolfman sent him flying dozens of meters with a single punch. The man fell into deep thought. Ojiho's technique wasn't so much martial arts as it was a kind of illusion, blending the real and the unreal. Could he really do it without any telepathic ability? He suddenly remembered that after defeating the monster birds, he'd become more sensitive to mental energy. At the time, he hadn't known what the skill was for, but maybe that was the key to learning quick evasion. Quick evasion was an extremely difficult skill. Raw talent wasn't enough. Without understanding its principles, it couldn't be mastered. Even martial arts masters struggled to perfect it. But in a short time, he'd already grasped the basics. He could now react to Ojiho's attacks. But it still wasn't enough. He was starting to sense the flow of black ether around him, but he was only just getting started. No matter how hard he tried to reproduce that feeling, he was still just imitating. Suddenly, a wolf's roar tore through the air, and the wolfman lunged at him, throwing a punch that seemed set to pierce his chest. But in the next instant, the man appeared behind the wolfman. "Looks like you missed me. Come on, puppy." A flash of red light shot toward him, but he dodged every attack with calm composure. The secret to the technique was a proper stance, a solid base, and control over speed, direction, and balance, concentrating recoil, rotation, and all force onto a single point. That was the only way to reflect power back, confusing the opponent while counterattacking at the same time. The stronger the foe, the harder the counterstrike. The wolfman punched again, the air itself seemed to freeze. In that instant, the outcome was decided. Even Yuk Chialwin was left speechless. He couldn't believe a healer was soloing a boss. Even seeing it with his own eyes, it was hard to believe a technique like that was real. It wasn't long before both men had gained plenty. Riding this momentum, they cleared several more dungeons in a row. Of course, entering a dungeon required an association-issued permit. All of this was thanks to Chief Examiner Pyo Hyokjiu's help. The man remained wary. He still didn't know if Pyo Hyokjiu was friend or foe. Later, the two chatted idly. The man asked Yuk Chialwin why he'd become a dungeon janitor. Yuk Chialwin replied that it was because he was too weak and unpopular, so this was all he could do. But the man saw right through the lie. With B-rank power, there was no way he'd be stuck in such a job. Why was he so obsessed with poison dungeons? It was as if he was searching for something. Yuk Chialwin finally spoke. He'd been looking for the legendary sunflower of the sun, a miraculous flower said to cure any illness. Only now did the man realize Yuk Chialwin was actually talking about the golden sunflower. Only it had such miraculous effects. Though it was only a legend, Yuk Chialwin believed in it with all his heart. There were two kinds of people who searched for the sunflower, those who knew its habits and those who truly believed it existed. He said he'd once had a beautiful wife, but in the end, he hadn't managed to protect her. She'd always believed there was a sunflower somewhere in the world. So finding the sunflower had become his only obsession. But he'd searched almost every poison dungeon and never found a trace. In the end, even his teammates had started drifting away. At that moment, the man explained the real reason Yuk Chialwin had never found the sunflower. The sunflower disappears with the boss's death. It's part of its fundamental mechanics. To obtain it, you have to find it before killing the boss. There are gold, silver, and bronze sunflowers, each corresponding to dungeon difficulty. The higher the level, the better the flower. But also the harder it is to get. Even the man himself had never seen a golden sunflower. Those only appeared in 7-star poison dungeons or higher, and only by defeating the boss could you hope to get one. Yuk Chialwin thought the man was just trying to comfort him. But in the next moment, the man produced a bronze sunflower from his pocket. The sunflower really does exist. Here's the proof. Realizing his dream wasn't a fantasy, Yuk Chialwin broke down in tears. At last, all his effort hadn't been in vain. Of course, none of this was meaningless. All the pain in Yuk Chialwin's heart was finally released. Pull yourself together. You're the clan leader, aren't you? And you're still searching for the sunflower, right? From now on, let's look for it together.